let's get in the time machine. Where are we gonna? Where do you want to start?
We starting the. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah,
we're gonna start with the 2000 to 2001 NBA season.
Okay. So I have. So we got to get that season up. Hold on.
So this is okay. All right. So this is the second Lakers championship.
Yes.
Okay. This is gonna be interesting. I wonder who we're picking between those two Lakers teams.
Yeah.
I don't know if people know who I'm picking, but I definitely know who I'm picking.
Okay, so Lakers.
That's Magic's Lakers. Right?
This team, and this Magic Johnson. Right? Yes, 23-12. So we're saying this MVP Magic Johnson, right? On this Lakers team, 117 points a game, almost 30 assists a game. This team would totally hold up in a lot of eras, but they are scoring almost 20 more points than anybody scoring in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
So yeah.
So, assuming they get the pace changes a little bit, right?
Yeah.
And they come down a little bit. Let's go down to playoff stats, because in the playoffs the game always slows down.
Yep.
Right? If I can get playoff stats.
And if we could also look at the threes made in 2000 versus 87.
Oh, I'm sure it's like. I'll go back to the top for that.
Well, I didn't want to throw you off for what you were already doing.
No, it's fine. That's fine. That's a good point. I actually know where that is.
So they're shooting, the most threes was 8. Wow, they went 3 for 8.
Yep.
Awesome.
35. And in 2000, it's roughly double. A little bit more.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's 7 for 20.
Yeah.
I mean, the percentage isn't that off.
The percentages aren't that. The league did not get efficient shooting really until like 5 years ago. Like the efficiency shooting threes is a new thing.
Yeah, that 40%, people shooting closer to 40% has been new for sure. Because I know during the middle 2000s, to like middle 2010s, it was not that efficient.
So I definitely think Magic has a chance to get MVP in 2000 or in this season with Allen Iverson sitting here. Because
okay. I don't know. So are we taking away are we gonna take away the 2001 Lakers, or are we just
no, okay, so this is
them in as if they were just another 31st team?
Let's just put them in like they're a 31st team for this experiment. The last one we kind of replaced the Celtics, but we cannot remove the Lakers team that's in 2001.
Yeah, because they're the ones that won the championship.
They won the championship, and there's a lot of comparisons that can be made there. But I think that Magic has a pretty good chance to win MVP in this year. We got all NBA teams, right? Let's go team stats, playoff series.
Is AI bringing that trash ass team to the play? Well, being first in the conference and then going to the finals. Like I know postseason doesn't matter towards the MVP, but if we're looking at just stats, sure, you might say Magic, but if you're looking at overall what he had to bring, I think AI is that's just tough.
So this is the first team All-NBA point guard. It's Jason Kidd. 16 points, 9 assists, 6 rebounds. Right? 76 games played, shot 40% from the field. Okay? The Nets, right? The Nets, I got a point, I promise. The Nets,
No, I mean, I'm sure you like. I know where your point is going.
where my Nets at? New Jersey Nets, 26 wins. I don't know how that makes sense. Wait, am I in the right year? I have to be, right?
Yes. Yeah, you see the 01, 2000, 2001.
Nah, he's got to still be on the Suns or something. I'm bugging out.
No, he is on the Suns.
No, yeah, he is. Phoenix. Okay.
Yes, that's
I was bugging out. I was like, nah. I was like, they definitely won more. Phoenix Suns. 51 wins. Wow, this West there's a lot of 51 teams here. 51 wins. Magic Johnson. You know his 23, 6, and 12, right? Lakers had 65 wins. There is no doubt in my mind that Magic Johnson is the first team All-NBA selection.
For point guard?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah.
100%.
It's not even close.
Considering he brings them to 65 wins, let's say it gets to 60. Let's be modest. Let's say he loses 5.
I'm saying he gets maybe high 50s.
You say high 50s, like 58?
Yeah, because one thing that we have to acknowledge in this one is there actually is a stacked West. So
if I take your point and I don't argue it and I say they get 58 wins hypothetically, that still puts them number 1 in the conference.
Okay.
So at that point,
let's say
point, I'm giving Magic the MVP also. Because he would have put up more wins than this Philly squad.
Sure, but then you got to take into consideration Magic Johnson has a pretty stacked squad, and Allen Iverson has no one. He has a broken down Dikembe, like an older Dikembe, and
Dikembe won Defensive Player of the Year that season, and he had the Coach of the Year.
Okay, who helped him on offense? Like what did he have on offense? He was literally the running offense throughout that whole season and the playoffs. Look at let's see who's his second scoring option.
His second fiddle?
Is it Eric Snow?
It probably is. Eric Snow, the GOAT.
Exactly. Come on. That's not even
Ratliff.
My man's second scoring option was averaging 12.5 points. There's no way you cannot tell me that he doesn't win MVP. He has to. That's an insane season. If he would have won the finals that year and finals MVP, that would have probably been the all-time greatest season ever.
Oh yeah, well Allen Iverson would have a GOAT case in that.
Literally just for that one season.
But
they would have probably argued him as a top 10 player of all time.
My point is, this Magic season that you picked is probably one of the 3 best seasons for a point guard of all time.
I could see that.
And what you're saying is Allen Iverson's season is also in there, and I don't agree. And so that's
you don't think what he did. You don't think what he did. Like,
I think
take away the stats.
I think this season that we're talking about with Magic, if we put this season's Magic into, I think it's more impressive.
I disagree. You gotta. One thing that I've noticed throughout these breakdowns is we kind of lose the context, and that matters. You look at the stats and you might say, okay, I would take Magic stats over AI's. Sure, but then you look at the teams, and AI's team was without him was the worst team in the East. Magic's team without him is probably a 5th seed in the West, especially during his era. They're still a playoff team. There's no way that team is not. You give them a pretty decent point guard, like a normal point guard. You give them another decent shooting guard instead of AI, and I promise you they're not making the playoffs.
Well, how close was this MVP award? I wonder. How close was the voting? I gotta find the voting.
I just think certain things like that have to be it's just a lot that you're doing for your team to get you to that point, because he was literally the driving force of that team. He's what made that. He was like the engine.
I just feel like, well, the one thing I want to look at the voting is, because you brought up the word context, I want to see how close the voting was. Because if it was like Allen Iverson by a mile in this era,
Because the next case will probably, I'm sure Shaq was probably there.
well, here you go. Tim Duncan, there you go. 93 first place votes. So at the time,
everyone felt that way.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking maybe Magic takes 30 of those.
Let's see. I just want to see because Magic Johnson won MVP this year that we're talking about, so we can look this up.
Yeah.
Because I'm just trying to because I'm sure it wasn't nearly, because he had to compete with MJ's 37 a game season. It was just a crazy year. I could see your case for getting it, but I could also, I mean,
Magic won that pretty handily too, though, right? 65, first place.
65, but I mean, there might be more people.
93 though, yeah,
but there might be more people voting at that point. I don't know what off the top of my head that, but
I just feel like what AI did. I'm not saying Magic season is probably like definitely one of the all-time greatest seasons, but it's just in that situation, AI bringing that team, that team was not that good, and it shouldn't have got nowhere near as far as it did get. Like, for it to go to the finals, I'm just confused at how that happened. Like, seriously, I don't know what the fuck was happening in the NBA at that point, but because I wasn't watching it as hard as I am now, so But for him to bring that team to the playoffs and be the number one seed, huh?
There was a lot of parity in the NBA at that point because there was all the teams had like one solid player and then built around them. Like pretty much every team. It's weird. Like if I really run down the list, like I can see the Paul Pierces and Vince Carter. These guys are all on different teams. Kobe, see what I mean? Like
besides Kobe and Shaq, it was pretty much
13. Basically 13 up. All these names are like guys who are in the Hall of Fame or will be in the Hall of Fame. Like the league, and they were all pretty much on different teams, outside of a few exceptions. Shaq, Kobe, obviously. Duncan, and David Robinson, but a lot of parity in the league, and the teams weren't as good. Like, it's kind of like what happened this past year. Like, there's no big three team in the NBA anymore, but there's a lot of duos now. Like, the ceiling fell for the competition gap, but there's a lot of people that now meet that criteria.
Yeah, I know what you mean,
Same kind of thing in this area, I feel like. But having said that, I feel like the Lakers absolutely smash and win the championship this year. Like,
the 2001 Lakers, that makes sense.
And the fucked up thing is, like, to argue it probably has nothing to do with Magic. It just has everything to do with Shaq versus Kareem for that, I feel like.
What, you mean the 2001 Lakers win?
Yeah, I'm saying this.
Oh, okay. All right. I was like, I didn't know we were gonna have to go into full on. All right, so I'm good.
I feel like this Lakers team is one of the best teams of all time, but that 66 Lakers team, or 65 win Lakers team, excuse me, in the 80s is just it's like one of the 4 or 5 best teams ever.
Yeah. Like
we were talking about with the 86 Celtics, like there's not a whole lot of teams that I could see beating them. But it's funny. I think this Laker team is a little bit better than the 86 Celtic team. And it ended up being proven because they got to play, but injuries, yada yada, we went over it. But I feel like they could like fuck the league up. Like they're definitely leading the league in scoring. Like even if it's not 117 points a game, they're probably getting to like 110. Like I could see that.
I could see that with that fast pace, definitely.
I just and also like they're stacked, as you were saying. There's no team here except for maybe your Lakers that holds up to them talent wise. Like maybe I'm missing somebody.
Yeah, that would definitely be the Western Conference Finals, both Lakers teams.
Yeah.
Easily. It's not even a question. So, wait, just to make sure that I'm getting this right, you're saying Magic would win the championship?
Yeah.
In 2001.
Yeah.
Okay, now all right. I thought you were thinking that the 2001 Lakers would win the championship.
But I'm
now
saying that I feel like the difference in that doesn't have as much to do with Magic as much as it has to do with Kareem versus Shaq.
Yeah, and I think Shaq is gonna dog walk Kareem.
Yeah, at that point. I mean, also, isn't this isn't the Finals MVP Kareem, right?
Nope. This is 87 Kareem, where he pretty much says, Magic, you pretty much are the
So considering that, I would agree with you. However, okay. Kobe can't guard Magic. Jordan couldn't guard Magic. Kobe can't guard Magic. It's not happening.
Okay, that Magic. All right, sure. Because I'm just thinking in general, like his whole career. All right, that Magic, okay, but that Magic can't even touch Kobe. Kobe's averaging 40 on that Magic easily, and I want someone to explain to me how not, because that Kobe was averaging 40 on everyone else who was actually playing defense. That Magic never won all defensive team. He was never on any all defensive team ever. Kobe's been on 12. So if Kobe can't somehow guard Magic can't guard Kobe at all. So it's probably gonna even out there. And then I just think Shaq is gonna dog walk Kareem, especially Shaq knowing who Kareem is. His whole thing is when he sees another great big man besides Akeem Olajuwon, he usually dog walks the fuck out of them because he wants to say, I'm the most dominant big man ever. And that Shaq is very hard to stop.
Also, this doesn't really matter, but Kareem for years tried to have other center, he would coach other centers up to try and embarrass Shaq. That's what led to Shaq's highest scoring game ever. It was on his birthday, and he was destroying this guy in the center on the Clippers. Yeah. And Kareem was like a side coach, like a assistant coach.
Yeah.
And he was whispering in his ear, here's how you gotta beat Shaq. And Shaq heard him, and he was like, it might be one of those David Robinson stories where it's not real, but he was like, Kareem's trying to get me beat, and then he went out and just scored 62 or something like that.
Yep.
But
and I think he's putting 60 on Kareem. That Kareem, he's probably putting 60 on.
He gets 60. 30. They've averaged, I think both Kobe and Shaq
he's 30. Shaq was averaging 40 in that finals or whatever. That's going to be the finals for them. He's going to wall out on them.
He averaged 36 and 12.
Oh, that's what he's averaging on Kareem.
I think he averages 30, probably, maybe.
Well, who else is going to guard him? I want to understand.
I just think.
Is there someone else that I'm missing?
He's still getting a block. He's not a fucking slouch. He's not what he was, but he's not.
But that Shaq, he's literally bullying him. How much does Kareem weigh at this point? But Kareem is a stick compared to Shaq. Shaq is going to be pushing him all around. In that era, too, he's literally going to bully the shit out of him.
Even so, Kareem still got the skyhook. That's why he played till he was 40.
That's okay, but he's going to be getting 17 while Shaq is getting his 36. It's going to be a huge... And Shaq at that point is playing good defense and everything, too. He got 2 blocks a game, probably 3 at that point.
Yeah,
if we're talking about Kareem,
I'm just saying
2008. 1980.
I cannot argue that Kareem would be better than Shaq because I'm definitely not saying that at this point of his career. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that. How many games do you think this series goes?
I got 2001 Lakers in 6.
You're fucking out of your mind. If they're gonna win, it's gotta go 7. They're not beating this team like that easily.
Kobe's literally putting up. Kobe's putting equal to this is playoffs. So playoff stats. Magic is averaging 22 and 12. What's Kobe averaging in the playoffs?
But they have bodies to throw at Kobe. They have Michael Cooper. They have Byron Scott.
It's gonna be
guard him because Magic never guarded the quick guy.
That's sure. That's fine. But do you see how they feel about Jordan? Is literally gonna be what they feel about Kobe. They're gonna be like, I don't know how to stop him. It's gonna be literally
who's
very
gonna
equal.
for you guys?
Kobe. Why can't Kobe guard him?
So then
You
who's
got
Magic? If you put anybody besides Kobe on Magic, it's
let me let me see that Lakers. Let me see that Lakers roster.
No.
What happened?
Nothing. I was pretending to be Magic.
So my whole thing is all right. My main my main thing is that what team did that 86 Lakers team lose to again? I can't remember.
The 86 Lakers team, they did. They won the championship. That's why we're talking about them.
No, we're talking about the 87 Lakers, Russell. 86 they lost to Houston Rockets, and it was because of the Houston Rockets length. So my whole thing is who is gonna score in the paint?
They had two guys.
They got Horace Grant and they got Shaquille O'Neal. Literally, it's big bodies in the paint. They're gonna. There's no way.
8.5, 7 rebounds, no steals, no blocks from Horace Grant.
You got length in the paint. That's the whole thing. That was the issue. It's gonna be very difficult for them to just score in the paint unless they're going on fast breaks. Because if Magic comes down on his little pretty shit, Shaq is gonna lay him flat on his ass, and that's what Shaq has said that he does to every single point guard that thinks that they're gonna score on him in the paint. He just lays him on his ass and lets them know, don't do that again. Kobe was averaging.
These are the playoff numbers.
Kobe's doing that. Definitely putting at least 29 on Magic easily, or whoever you want to put. Cooper, anybody. I promise you, it's gonna be a feast.
I don't think that they get the pace as slow as you think they get it. They would have to do that.
Why not?
Because I think that Lakers team is. I think that it's. I don't know. I just think they're better. I just think that they're better. I feel like it's very easy to get the run and gun going when you're fucking the greatest point guard of all time, and no one can guard you. And because Kobe's not guarding him, I think we've established that Kobe's not going to guard him. It's going to be somebody else, and that's lunch meat.
So when we're talking about pace, typically, the big thing about and the reason I'm gonna even bring up this team is because
Shaq's also gonna have to work on defense. He's gonna have to, because he has to stop Kareem from getting 20. He has to, because if Kareem gets more than 20, that's embarrassing.
Yeah, but he's not gonna get. If Kareem wasn't getting 7, if Kareem was getting 19 on those centers back then, he's not doing 19 on Shaq when he's in his prime. That's prime Shaq. That's literally you know how Shaq says barbecue chicken? He's not even gonna see Kareem's face. He's gonna see like a rotisserie chicken and him burnt up because he's gonna be eating him up the whole time. And that's the same shit Kobe's gonna feel about Magic if he sees him guarding him. He's gonna be like, "You really think you could guard me, man?"
But what about the other side of the ball?
Dog walk him. That's fine. My whole thing is Magic is a pure drive. All he does is drive to the basket.
That's not true.
He's a shooter. How many times is he like? If we're talking about hook shots or something, maybe.
At this point, he's a post-up player. You and I both know it. He's
posting up. Even worse. My whole thing is, how are you going to score in that paint? And in order for you to post up, you have to set up a whole offense and everything. So you're going to have Magic in the post. Who's bringing Shaq out of the paint? How are you going to score in the paint? That's what I want to know. It's going to be very difficult. You're going to be shooting a lot of free throws, and you're going to be falling on your ass a lot. And especially during that time, you might not be shooting that many free throws because they weren't really calling that many fouls like that. So I think it's just way too physical in the paint for Magic, and I think that was what fucked them up in '86 was the having to deal with those big men and having to score.
I do not think it would. If Magic beat the bad boy Pistons to win a championship, I don't think it gets more physical than that.
I think getting hit by Shaq and getting hit by Dennis Rodman is two totally different things. I would pick getting hit
by Rodman, Lambeer, Brimmelhorn, everybody.
It doesn't matter. Any of them. Shaq would have made Lambeer feel like he was not a man. that Shaq, that's prime Shaq, man. Like prime Shaq is like easily like a top 5 specimen. Like just he was insane, and I feel like the whole thing is the pace is slowed down, right? Where you setting up the triangle with either Kobe or Shaq. it's a post game. We're wasting a lot of seconds on the shot clock. The difference in pace, like I feel like the Warriors and Lakers would be and I know this is a total different subject, but the reason I feel like the Warriors make it a bigger issue for the Lakers when it comes to pace and stuff is because they could shoot threes. So Shaq posting up for 24 seconds and getting an easy dunk is nice and all, but then when I go and shoot a three and then you miss a layup and then I shoot another three and you're going down 4 and then you have to start following up with threes. That Lakers team is not shooting threes at all. So you really
your Lakers team isn't like barraging them with
no,
three.
but I'm saying we slowing down the pace, and my shots are easy shots in the paint where Shaq is dominating people. What was Shaq was shooting? He was scoring. Is that the playoffs or is that
It's the regular season?
Yo, that's crazy. They both were averaging pretty much 29 points a game.
Yeah, this is a crazy
people
season.
People say Kobe didn't do it without Shaq. Man, Shaq didn't do it without Kobe. But
I don't agree with you that the pace gets slowed down as much as you think it does. I just don't think that happens. I don't think they're making enough shots to justify that, because as soon as they start going on any kind of a cold spell, which it happens, fucking the break is started and the pace completely will change.
But how is that pace my whole thing is you shooting a lot of post shots, right? That Lakers team was shooting way more post shots and like 2-point shots at that point. In order to start in order for Showtime to start going, you got to get your rebound. So you're gonna be fighting for the rebound against Shaq or Horace Grant or some big motherfucker there. So you fighting for the rebound to get your rebound. When are you gonna throw the outlet pass? When are you gonna to put them in those situations? You got to think about the situations and
you're not thinking about the situation. There's no outlet pass needed when Magic's getting the rebound. It's like Westbrook. He's just
gonna hit dip
and Showtime.
Is Magic that much faster? Is that Magic that much faster than all of these other guys though? Like Magic was more so he was not a super fast dude like that.
No, but Pat Riley is a good coach. Like the system is there. Like it's not like it's gonna be a weak ass system. Like they're gonna be well coached, and like James Worthy's gonna get to his spot and be around the lane for dunking, and Shaq's not gonna be there because Shaq's not beating James Worthy down the floor.
Okay, I can see that.
That's what I'm saying.
But how many of those are they gonna get? Like, how many fast break points were scored in that era, 2001?
I mean, the pace changed, but my point, I have to bring it somewhere in the middle for me. And if you bring it anywhere towards the middle where you increase the pace at all, then I lean towards the old Lakers squad as opposed to, because when the pace was pushed on that Lakers squad in 03-04 versus the Pistons, because they just kept pressing him, they didn't know what to do.
Well, there was also a lot of other shit happening.
Yes, but I mean,
context.
On the court, is that not what happened?
Okay, but if you're now seeing chemistry matters, as we know. So if you're not having good chemistry at that point, huh?
I'm factoring that in as well for this. I know that they're
this is the best Laker team.
Yeah, but the old Lakers team, if we're going to talk about chemistry, the old Lakers team that we're talking about with Magic, by far and away had better chemistry than this Lakers team that we're talking about.
I agree.
Even at Kobe and Shaq's tightest moment, it's not happening.
I agree. I agree with that. But the talent there is just
I do think that it takes 7 games to get it done because I think Shaq and Kobe do their thing.
I can see. My whole thing is I said 6 because I really do feel like just Shaq is going to be too overwhelming for Kareem.
You also got to understand, there's 7 players in double figures here. 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 players in double figures on the Lakers.
How much for the other Laker team?
Just you guys. It's just Kobe and Shaq. And
3.
Derek Fisher.
3. Okay. But it's also a slow pace.
What made this team so good? What made this team so good what made this team so fascinating was the amount of volume that went to those two guys.
Yeah, but
and they played in a league where the ceiling was duos, and not a lot of people had duos.
Yeah. But
Lakers are coming with 7 guys in double figures. Like,
all right, but Russ, you don't bring up that 7 guys because they're scoring 20 more points in that era. Like you can't.
saying,
That 20 more points when you add it up to each of those guys is gonna. I'm sure if you
the ball still has to go in hoop. Like, I can't control.
Well, it's a different pace.
I understand
it's a different game at that point.
Compensating, so that takes maybe the 2 guys that had 10 points a game out to what, 8? They're still scoring mad points. Is what I'm saying. They're still. I said before, even if we take away 7 points from the team as a whole, you're still looking at.
I think it's more than that, though.
I don't. Definitely.
It's a 20-point gap. It's almost a 20-point gap. How are you only taking away 7 points?
Because I respect that Lakers team. And I think that they would still lead the league in scoring and still manage to run Showtime.
Better coach, Phil Jackson, Pat Riley.
Even though I believe that Phil Jackson is the better coach, Pat Riley is no fucking slouch. And I think he would have his boys ready to play. That's all I'm saying. I just think I would take the 86 Lakers instead.
So we said the 2001 Lakers beat that 86 Celtics team, right? That was what we agreed on. We said the 2000 Lakers would probably lose to the 86 team, and then we said the 2001 Lakers will most likely win against that 86 team.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
So my thing is, I feel like the 86 Celtics are better than this 87 Lakers.
That's why we got fucked out of that finals. We got so fucked.
Yep.
We had this question answered. We were one jump shot away from having this question fucking answered.
And my whole thing about that 86 Celtics is they have the ingredients to beat that Lakers team. You got more shooting outside of the paint where you're going to have reliable shooting there. I don't think you have that much with that Lakers team, and I think it's going to be very difficult for them to score as much as you think they would against that Lakers team. I think it's gonna be a very slow paced game, whether they like it or not, because Phil Jackson is gonna force it to be a slow paced game.
Like I said, I will definitely bend to that to some degree.
And also in the playoffs, though, my bad, you got it.
No. I will bend to that to some degree because I know that the game slows down in the playoffs, but I understand that aspect of it. I'm just saying. I don't think you slow the train down to a fucking halt. I just don't think so.
They weren't Showtime like that in the playoffs either. It wasn't like they were. I'm pretty sure that like.
What are you talking about? Looking at the playoffs we're getting right now. Magic Johnson, 21, 12 assists. I gotta try and find their pace, but I'm imagining the pace.
Or you could just look at the points per game or something in that playoffs.
Oh, like see if they still have 7 guys in double figures. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6, but this guy's 8.8, so pretty much.
But I mean, Lakers had a bunch of people with 8.5, 8. I'm looking more so. I'm talking about. Do they have total points for the whole team or no?
That's a team stat.
Yeah, I don't know if they.
But still, I don't know. Again, say it 10,000th time. I just think. It would be close. They would win in 7. The Lakers, the 86 Lakers would definitely win in 7.
My take on that is I think I would give you this. I could see it going to 7, but yeah. I got the Kobe Shaq Lakers and
to say that it would to say
I have them in 6, but maybe 7.
Disrespectful.
I don't think so at all. I don't think so at all because they literally you can have an answer for Magic. The answer for Magic is you come to this paint, I'm going to lay you on your ass a few times, and that's going to be your answer. You have no answer for Shaq. Literally no one is an answer for Shaq. And you can't say Kareem. If it was Kareem 5 years ago, we're having a totally maybe that 82 team, if we were talking about it, that would be a totally different story. But for me to say just that Magic is really great, but I think it's just too hard for him to score and do what he normally would do against that Lakers.